Alright. Let's test. Let's test the volume. Okay, yeah. It doesn't seem so bad. I think. It doesn't seem that bad. Okay. Alright. We are now... I was not feeling well. My lymph nodes were swollen a bit. And, I was feeling a little under the weather. Had a headache. Apparently, I had a slight cold, I think. So, I didn't read last night. So, we're gonna probably finish MatsuriBayashi tonight. We're there. And I finally finished, like, I finished reading everything. Like, catching up on the things I had to reread because the audio, it didn't get caught in there. Okay, just testing. Now let's begin. Takano didn't have enough stamina to walk around the mountains. She was running out of breath, but even so, she continued to scream at the mountain dogs on the radio. Oh wait, what the wait, guys, I'm so freaking stupid. What am I doing? I need to change the setting! We can't read like this! Sorry, I was so absent-minded. Oh my god, this level of dumbass is only possible by me. And yes, that was like a loose paraphrase of Fruit America. Okay. Takano didn't have enough stamina to walk around the mountains. She was running out of breath. But even so, she continued to scream at the mountain dogs on the radio. She wasn't using the intercom like the mountain dogs were. Instead, she was using the communication unit on the back of one of the dogs, so he constantly had to listen to her yelling. Damn! Everyone is so useless! How can they call themselves a special unit? Whatever happened to the famous mountain dogs, huh? Takano bit her lower lip and squeezed her left arm with her nails. Her arm had nail marks all over them. She was holding her grandfather's research scrapbook in her left hand. Even Takano didn't even know why she was holding it. Maybe she grabbed it unconsciously because she wanted her grandfather to comfort her. I know that I'm always carrying my stuff around too like that. The mountain dogs had already suffered a devastating damage. They had to walk around in an area they weren't familiar with, and they wasted their energy on the multitude of traps that had been set. Although they were as tough as can be, they were getting exhausted. Shit, does the Major even know? Any commands other than attack? Nightingale 1 and Nightingale 13. Watch out, your left wing is down. You're next. You've got to be kidding me! Why me, damn it? He panicked. The same thing kept happening. His team members kept going down one at a time, starting from the left flank, and he was next! Did that mean the enemy was coming from his 9 o'clock? No, those demons didn't think normally. On this mountain, being aware of 360 degrees around you wasn't enough! Even being cautious of the ground below your feet and the sky above your head wasn't enough! Where are they fucking coming from? Those bastards, come here! Come here! Come the fuck at me! Nightingale 13 held his laser in front of him as he looked around timidly. This taser could have been a powerful weapon, but it was far more effective used indoors. On this mountain, it was almost worthless. Nightingale 13 heard a noise from behind him from a bush. He thought he saw something, so he fired his taser. The electrodes flew out into the bush. Did he just imagine it? He felt a tug on his taser. The cord from the taser was stuck in the bush, and he couldn't rewind it. If it wasn't useless before, it certainly had become that way. He heard a noise behind him again, and this time he saw someone come at him, but his weapon was useless. The newcomer growled at him. Ah! Damn you! That was all it took. Because he was so scared, he didn't think that was exactly what Sadako expected. Sadako was up in the tree, dropped a metal bucket on his head. It landed perfectly. What the heck? What is this? The bucket had some drawings on it. What were they? What were the drawings of strange unknown creatures? They somehow resembled those strange characters you saw in educational TV programs. Aren't they just so cute? Take it home with you! As Rena jumped out from another bush, she hit the bucket with a stick. No, maybe it should be described as a strike instead of a hit. The man flew backwards. Keiichi was ready for him. The stance he was in, it looked a bit like, that's it! He looked like a batter in a batter's box! He was on 1 foot, that was the legendary 1 foot swing created by the world famous baseball baseball player. Destructive force can't be measured from just one direction. It's a function of both speeds added together. Both Keiichi's strike and the speed of his opponents create a truly amazing destructive force. Whoa! A home run bunt! With an exhilarating and magnificent sound, the mountain dog flew in the air in the opposite direction. Then he rolled down the ground and stopped where Rika awaited him. It was almost as though they calculated he would end up there.
Poor thing. Pat, me.
Rika patted the bucket happily. This comfort moment for Nightingale 13 only lasted for a second. Mion shot her taser at his butt. Nightingale 13 jerked for a moment and went limp. Another one down. Let's tie him up. Keiichi and Rena jumped on him, tied his hands behind his back with wire.
Oh, that was great. What a team we are. That was perfect. We shall do combination 7 next. Oh, I want to do 5 again. Oh, you liked that one, did you? You might have a hidden talent for using traps, Hanyu.
Hanyu and Sadako high-fived, while Keiichi and Rena tied Nightingale 13 up. Rika tried to sense something in the air.
Me. Bing. I feel something coming towards us from that direction. Me. There too, and they're both very scared. Me-pa.
Rika reported to Mion. She was a bit like a radar. Mion didn't care about the guy they had just knocked out. She was already trying to figure out their next move while looking at Sadako's map using the info Rika gave her. Everyone eagerly awaited Mion's next order. Why are you looking at me that way? Hadn't you had enough fun yet? Yeah, I guess we're just getting warmed up, huh? Shall we continue? Let's get 'em all! Yeah! Mion was a great leader. She had both leadership skills and tactical ability, but more than anything else, she was great at encouraging people's spirits. There are no cowardly soldiers under a brave general, and brave soldiers fight like a million men under Mion's command. Nobody could stop Mion and her club members. Both Mion and Okunogi's original estimates were too low. Now Okunogi was thinking something else. Before they started the siege, he likened one of them to a well-trained platoon. But that didn't fit in it well anymore. They were on par with an elite armored division. Foot soldiers couldn't defeat an armored division. What Okunogi had was just a company. Where was the air support, or a bombardment for a warship or artillery base? Okunogi needed someone to pump the mountain full of holes. If he couldn't have that, he needed a submarine to fire a nuclear weapon. If he couldn't have that, he wanted to retreat. Okunogi no longer doubted. The enemy commander was a genius. Under a mighty commander, all soldiers become heroes. He wanted to see the face of the commander, or at least he wanted to know their name. But then Okunogi remembered that demons used to live in Hinamizawa. He also realized the commander had to be a demon. This is Nightingale 13, I'm down! Phoenix 4, I'm down! This is Scarlet 10. I can hear the voices of children. I'm surrounded. Help! Help me! Skylight 10, fall back! To where? Ah! This is Phoenix 9! I found R, I'm following her. I need assistance. Phoenix 9, where are you? I don't know where you are. Give me your current location. There is a fog. It's cold. Is this a riverbank? Phoenix 9, there are no rivers anywhere near us. Calm down. Where are you? What? I can see my dead sister on the other side of the river. Sis! Phoenix 9! Phoenix 9, answer me! Phoenix 9 is down! This is impossible. They must be the demons of this mountain. I know. They're all being demoned away. None of us are making it out of here alive tonight. Stop saying things like that. All unit leaders, conduct a roll call and give me your members some encouragement. Our enemies aren't demons. They're just a bunch of damn kids. Show them what we got. I hear that. Whose intercom is it coming from? Not mine. It's not coming from mine. A bear! Ah! This is Phoenix 3! Are there wild bears here? That wasn't in the briefing. Phoenix 1, let's fall back. Give us approval to use firearms. Don't be stupid. There are no wild bears around here. It's just them. Don't let them fool you.
You foolish humans. Know your sins for stepping onto the sacred ground. Be grateful to me, for I am giving you a chance to atone.
Damn it, she has one of our intercoms! Don't let the enemy fool you!
You fearless humans, if you can only learn by making mistakes, then I shall teach you.
This is Nightingale 1! Where
see a helpless bird getting lost in a forbidden forest. Do you want to know that badly? Do you want to know about the world of demons? Say goodbye to the world of humans. Curse your foolishness for not listening to my warning.
Who was that? Nightingale roll call! One more down, who was it? By the way, HQ, I have someone on my left, right? I'm not alone, am I?
Do you want to hear more painful voices?
What was that? What made that sound? I see someone jump in front of a train before. It made the exact same sound. That's the sound of a human body being crushed. No, I don't want to die like that. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. Please, God of the mountain, please stop. I'm not doing this because I want to. I'm doing this because I get paid for it. Nightingale, want to base. This isn't working. Too many unit members are dropping out. It's also possible we can't fight anymore. We can't maintain the battle line. We're just going to lose more men. Calm down, Nightingale 1. The rest of our soldiers are all amateurs in the field. You graduated from that hell, so what are you doing getting shook up? Calm down and set an example. Base, there's no response from Nightingale 1. I can't believe it, but he's down. This is impossible. They are demons. No, damn it, our enemy's even using psychological warfare. Those damn punks are winning against professional unconventional warfare units. The radio are usually helpful communication tools, but in this case, they backfired. The club members took an intercom from the mountain dog they knocked out and used it to corner the other members psychologically. It even worked more effectively because they were in enemy territory and were unfamiliar with the terrain. The best solution would be to make everyone stop using the intercom, but that would give the enemy more chances to attack them individually. Okanogi was growing more fearful of the club members, as he still hadn't grasped their true identities. However, Takano still hadn't recognized how serious the situation was. She kept yelling at the mountain dogs to get their act together. Okanogi could tell that she was exactly the type of commander who only commanded to attack and let her men die, but Takano's reckless orders were working in a way. Although the club members were winning, the aerial operation was getting smaller. The club members were trying to lure their enemies to one trap after another. In other words, they were defeating the mountain dogs by allowing them to come into their territory. The mountain dogs were about to be annihilated, but the curtains were closing in on the club members' theater too. Okanogi realized his enemies were trying to finish this battle in a hurry. If the mountain dogs fell back, everything they'd done would have been for nothing. He didn't want to, but he had to follow the princess's order. Okanogi figured he was finally about to get his enemies. Hanyu and Keiichi continued to act over the commandeered radio.
Oh, that was great, Hanyu. You sounded like a real god.
You really were awesome, Hanyu. I never thought a noble person could sound like that.
That's because she is a god. Nippa. Ah, but Keiichi was great too. His scream was incredible, like someone was strangling a chicken. Ah! That was easy for Keiichi, no? In our club, he's also known as the magician of words.
As long as my opponent is a human being with ears, I can control him.
You should become a voice actor. I bet you'd be famous. Nippa.
Can you hear me? I am Takano, Major Takano. I'm your boss's boss. Listen well, there is no god or demon, and if there is, then you can still fight. Drag God down from its pedestal. Skylark and Nightingale, join up and reorganize your forces. Phoenix, you can join the remainder of Heron. The enemies are near the top of the mountain. Their base is probably somewhere by the Forestry Service's storage shield. They're at the top, so of course they could see our movements. They'll be trying to ambush you. Even if you have to stab each other, make sure you take them out. Major, let us arm ourselves. We need more than tasers. Absolutely not. We finally surrounded them. If we fall back, they'll escape. We almost have our hands around their necks. We just have to squeeze them. At the same time, Okanogi received another radio call. Using that line meant his caller didn't want Takano to hear the conversation. Okanogi understood the meaning of that. He walked away from Takano and answered quietly. Command vehicle to Phoenix 1. There's been an emergency. The research area of the clinic has been attacked. We received the intruder alarm from the entrance area, but it was turned off. But whoever turned it off didn't follow the false alarm procedure. We've been trying to confirm the situation. There's been no response as of yet. All the security unit members in the basement have gone quiet. Okanogi understood everything. He had been fooled. He suspected a diversion. But he never even thought the heavily armed security unit of the Mountain Dogs could be bested. If the enemies were soldiers in camouflage, then he wouldn't have been fooled. He underestimated them because he thought they were kids. But now he really understood. He understood the reason why no adults had showed up on the battle on this mountain. I get it. Did you like a coup in Tokyo, no? Not yet. Would you like me to? Do it now. Tomitake has escaped. We've closed the escape route, but I guess that's no use. They defeated even the armed security unit within seconds. I don't think one RPG could stop them. Should we send reinforcements to the blockade team? Fool, if we had any extra men, the princess would have already sent them in. Actually, you're the only one who isn't doing anything. Get in touch with the blockade team. Tell them to be prepared for a vehicle trying to break through the roadblock. Roger. Roger, we'll be ready. Everyone listen up. I just found out the clinic has been attacked and the hostage has escaped. The enemy is expected to break through the blockade. Get the RPG ready. We'll fire at all of them at once. We have permission to shoot. When the Mountain Dogs nodded and opened a narrow case in the trunk of the van, in that case was a powerful anti-tank weapon designated RPG-7. This was a weapon that said many had changed the history of modern warfare. After all, this is a terrifying weapon that had the firing range over several hundred meters. It was capable of burying most tanks in existence. The dawn of this weapon meant that we were now in an age where a lone-foot soldier possessed firepower to destroy a tank. It was capable of reshaping the history of warfare. That was the RPG-7. Each of the other 4 members had an MP5, a weapon used to destroy the tire on Irie's car. There was no question the blockade team was well armed. They waited in the van until the enemy vehicle showed up. Once they saw a suspicious vehicle, they were planning to stop it by moving into the middle of the road. They were intending to destroy that vehicle by firing all at once. They watched very carefully for suspicious vehicles coming from Hinamizawa. This is the only road that connected Hinamizawa to Okinomiya. It'd take more than half a day to get there if they used a different route. Their blockade was where the gravel road changed to a paved road. It was what people call the village border. That was their last chance to stop anyone from leaving. Hinamizawa was at a higher elevation from that point, so a vehicle would be coming downhill. They were probably expecting a barricade as well as heavy resistance from the Mountain Dogs. If they wanted to pass this point, the only way would be by force. They could start a gunfight, but that would take too much time. Since they didn't want to waste any, they should avoid unnecessary conflict. Someone's stomach growled, but nobody made fun of it. That was understandable since all the members were getting ready for battle. Nobody even wanted to laugh. We looked at the clock. It was almost noon. Of course we'd be getting hungry. At the time, they heard a noise coming from the direction of Hinamizawa. Obviously, the car was going very fast. Here they come! The van moved to the middle of the road and stopped there. Some of them hid behind the van. Some hid in the bushes on the side of the road. They pointed their guns at the suspicious vehicle coming toward them. The car must have been going very fast, but this was a straight road. No matter how fast it was going, it couldn't escape. That car happened to belong to Kasai. The shining black paint and the sound of the engine made it clear it was a very nice car. Wait until the last possible second. We can only fire once. Make sure to get them in one shot. The RPG-7 fires unguided rockets. Therefore, hitting a quickly moving target is extremely difficult. In this case, however, their target was straight ahead. If the car tried to swerve suddenly, it'd flip. If that was the case, it wasn't necessary to shoot directly at it. Besides, according to what Kasai said, its power can easily flip a car without a direct hit. Even if there was only one chance to fire, the Mountain Dogs were definitely in an advantageous position. Tomitake, a suspicious van is blocking the road. Please stay low. Careful! Try to hit the nose of the van. I know. We've done this before. The Mountain Dogs aimed at the vehicle. It was coming right for them. Not yet, not yet. Wait until it's within 100 meters. I know. Just range me. The Mountain Dogs in the bushes laid in wait, ready to fire. The rocket on the tip glinted airily, like it was waiting for its prey. 200 meters. 150. Prepare to fire! The soldier put his finger on the trigger of the RPG-7. Akasaka, prepare for impact! 100 meters. Fire! What happened? Didn't the RPG-7 fire? What was that when measuring the distance to the next to the shooter noticed something? The shooter's shoulder had been hit, and he tumbled to the ground. Was there a sniper? I didn't hear anything. So it must have been over for 400 meters away. Who cares? Fire, 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 fire! Only the regular guns could stop the car now. The other Mountain Dogs fired all at once, but immediately they realized something. The car had been hit by a hail of bullets at close range. Any normal car would have been on fire in short order. But there was nothing. This wasn't a normal car. Of course it isn't. That's the Sonosaki specially made bulletproof limousine. Kasai! The spotter picked up the RPG. Don't let him fire! Huh? You think I'm gonna miss him at this distance? Shion and Kasai were far beyond the straight road. They were in the enemy's blind spot on the other side of the hill on top of the abandoned car. Shion was on her knees checking the mountain dog's movements with a pair of military-grade, high-powered binoculars. Kasai was lying on the top of the car with a sniper rifle in his hand. Shion figured this was where the mountain dogs would place their ambush, so the only way for them to beat the dogs was to snipe at them. Both Shion and Kasai took sniping lessons in the U.S. during the dam conflict. Kasai was now aiming at the man who picked up the RPG and was trying to take position from it. Hurry up and fire it, what? Again, the RPG wasn't fired and was down on the ground. The two who tried to shoot were both groaning and clutching at their wounds. They were both shot in the shoulder. The wounds didn't kill them, but they definitely couldn't fire that rocket. The car had arrived. The mountain dog screamed and dove out of its way. Akasaka must have been used to driving in this kind of situation. He hit the nose of the van just right and broke through the blockade. The van was hurled away and spun in a circle. After them! Let's go! Let's go! After the mountain dogs tried to get back in the van, Shion and Kasai shot at them. There was a delay between the impact and the sound of the gunshot. It's an extra long-distance snipe. He must be a veteran sniper, also a veteran spotter. They must know exactly where we are. Their aim is just too precise. The scope on the sniper rifle is one specifically made for sniping. Therefore, its field of vision is so narrow that the sniper is unable to see their surroundings well. That's why it's always necessary to pair up with a spotter. A spotter uses powerful binoculars to probe the situation and communicate information to the sniper. Snipers can't do their job alone. Their potential is only unleashed when paired up with a spotter equally as skilled. They tried to stand up and climb into the van, but the ultra-velocity rifle bullets pinned them down. The bullets ripped through the air, traveling faster than the speed of sound. The noise those bullets created was nothing like the sound of a normal gun. It almost sounded like the Grim Reaper himself swinging down his scythe. Furthermore, they could see the mountain dogs, but the dogs couldn't see them. Only those who actually had experience being sniped at could understand this fear. We can't even go near the van! Forget about us, just go! Okay, we'll go after them. There's a driver and one mountain dog in the van. They had to leave, otherwise it'd be too late. The driver made a snap judgment and slammed on the gas pedal. Are they after us? Yeah, they're after us. Boy, he drives well. He's catching up in the van. That's worrying. Please fend them off. Yeah, I'll leave it to you. Tomitake opened a window near the back seat and leaned out. Hot air blew into the car. Though the car was jolting up and down the bumpy road, he checked the mechanism of his gun calmly. He did it naturally, as though examining his favorite camera. The gun had been taken from one of the security guards in the basement. One of the dogs in the van held the same gun in his hands. Their weapons were evenly matched. The road was no longer straight and it curved like a snake. There were some bumps and sharp curves, which made things in the car fly all over. A gunfight in this situation would be extremely difficult. Tomitake realized he'd run into empty in no time if he wasted bullets. Instead of firing recklessly, he waited for the right distance. And doing so, tried to convince his enemy they were still out of range to make them close the gap. On the other hand, the mountain dog couldn't take it any longer. He fired, wasting his bullets on the bumpy road. Some of those bullets hit the body of Kasai's car, making a nasty metallic noise. Tomitake, it's not safe to lean out like that. Don't worry, a shooter that clumsy can't hit me. If he was my student, he'd have to start all over. In a situation like this, it's safer to wait and see for a moment. We learn to predict our opponent's behavior and shoot depending on that prediction. Don't try to shoot at the target. Try to let the bullet find it. Just like this! Tomitake fired for the first time, after cautiously waiting for the perfect moment. Those who understood guns could be fascinated with his shooting form. His stance was so firm he didn't lose control, even in violent bursts of shots. Yet there was no unnecessary tension and just enough slack. Despite being in such an anomalous position as leaning out from a car, Tomitake was shooting very precisely. It was nothing like the mountain dogs did earlier. He shot at the right time so his bullet went where it was supposed to go. It was hard to believe that they were using the same gun. Nasty metallic sounds etched themselves into the body of the van, which made the mountain dogs realize just how good Tomitake was. Shit, he's a crazy good shot! He isn't just some office worker in Tokyo. I heard it once before. First Lieutenant Tomitake was transferred to the offices after an accident, but during his instructor years, he taught marksmanship for unconventional warfare units. Huh? What are you saying? Are you saying he's... Tomitake started to aim for the driver's seat to pressure them to give up. The mountain dogs could tell they were in a predicament. Tomitake was capable of hitting his targets easily even on such a bad road. Furthermore, they were in bulletproof limousine, while the mountain dogs were in a regular van. The van, which incidentally was facing the limousine in pursuit. All of his shots had just been warning ones. Unless the mountain dogs call off the chase, Tomitake would start shooting at them soon enough. They had no chance of winning. Phoenix 1 to pursuit vehicle. If the blockade was broken through, that's enough. Don't go too far. Tomitake is an expert sniper. Don't throw away your lives. What do we do? Can we let them go? Roger, this is a pursuit vehicle. Abandoning pursuit. We're falling back. It looks like they finally gave up. They're slowing down. Even after such a gunfight, you're still so calm. I bet you've gone through quite a bit, huh? It's all thanks to my training. Tomitake hadn't slid back in the car, raised his fists in victory. He was as easygoing as ever, even after a gunfight. Akasaka felt like he was finally getting to know Tomitake for the first time. First Lieutenant Tomitake, I'm glad you're safe. We were so worried we couldn't get in touch with you. Tomitake was making a call from the telephone booth outside of Okinomiya. The phone lines around here were on a different network than the ones the mountain dogs had sabotaged. That's why he could make the call. Tomitake had Tokyo immediately. He told Tokyo there were some spies from the mountain dogs within Tokyo's research division, which is how they found out where he was. He also told them he was captured and that he had escaped. He told them that they were fooled by the diversion, and they were on the mountain as they spoke. While he was captured, Major Takano, the ringleader, had hinted at the existence of masterminds that she was working for, etc. He explained everything that he had learned thus far. Please take control of the Erie Institute immediately. They've already fired repeatedly. It'll only be a matter of time before the villagers find something out. I urge you to give the command for the Bloodhounds to take action. Hello, this is Oka from the Research Division. I'm glad you're safe. The Bloodhounds are already standing by in the air, approximately 30 kilometers south of Hinamizawa. We've been requesting an order to move in, but the higher-ups are stubborn and don't want any problems, so they've been hesitating. But if you're safe, that makes things simple. I'll tell them what you just told me now. I'm sure they'll approve the operation immediately. The Bloodhounds will arrive within 20 minutes. Hey, we just got an arrest order for Major Takano and First Lieutenant Okanogi. We also got orders to secure the Erie Institute as well as to disarm the mountain dogs. All thanks to you. Great job. Tomitake walked out of the telephone box. Is everything settled? Yes. The Bloodhounds are moving in. They're already standing by in the air and should arrive within 20 minutes. How powerful are they? Those Bloodhounds, that is. The mountain dogs are a multi-purpose unit, largely deployed to preserve secrecy, but the Bloodhounds are elite units specifically trained to do battle. Both their skills and equipment are far superior. Things will be taken care of quickly. Akasaka looked at his watch. It was about 12:30. The Bloodhounds would arrive in about 20 minutes. Akasaka remembered how hungry he was. It was lunchtime already. If he was brave enough, he would head to a noodle shop, and by the time he was done, everything would have ended. For the mountain dogs, who fought well until the last possible moment, it was ending rather too soon. They were in an area where rice fields and residential area mix. It was the border of Okinomiya. The sun was covered by a thin layer of silver clouds, and a cool breeze was blowing. It looked like it might even rain a little. The two of them couldn't even remember how many times their lives were threatened that day. They wanted nothing more than to let the rain soak away their bodies. After a while, Akasaka spoke. So, what do you think, Tomitake? What do you mean? I think I'll go back to Hinamizawa. They're still fighting. Yeah, that's true. But are you sure? We're safe here. Rika is waiting for me. I haven't kept my promise yet. Okay, then let's go back. I actually have something to take care of too. I was thinking of going back anyway. Akasaka, have you been on a helicopter before? I have a permit for one. They watched the breeze blowing over the rice fields for a while and returned to the bullet-ridden car. The car started up quickly and they drove it back the way they came. It was only noon. There was still plenty of time before the Watanagashi festival began. Clouds covered the sky and suddenly it grew cool. It was going to rain a bit, according to Okanogi's intuition. He already knew their enemy had broken through the blockade, but he hadn't told Takano about it. By then, it didn't really make any difference if she knew or not. He also wanted to reach the top of the mountain. Okanogi was only thinking about one thing. He was thinking about the enemy's commander, who made the day so horrible for him. He just couldn't accept his defeat until he saw the enemy's commander face to face. The battle was already lost. They just had a princess who think they hadn't yet. Would the rest of the mountain dogs fall into the traps and ambushes, Okanogi had ordered all units except his own to fall back from the front line and into the vehicles. The only ones left to go on were the very determined princess, Okanogi himself, and the handful of exhausted members of the mountain dogs who could barely walk. Eventually, the slope became a little more gentle. Okanogi and his companions finally arrived at the storage shack of the Forest Service. The club members were already aware the mountain dogs had almost been totally annihilated. Both the members and the strength of the dogs had fallen far below that of club members. Therefore, when Okanogi saw his opponents lined up there to welcome him, he wasn't surprised. It was all the kids who had driven the mountain dogs to destruction that entire day. They also fought with everything they had. Though they overwhelmed us from start to finish, they had used up all their stamina and were on their last legs as well. Still, their willpower kept them standing. A will born of the victor's honor, which God granted only to the winners. There she is! It's our Okanogi, capture her! Major, how can you even say that to us under these circumstances? What? Are you disobeying my order? Oh no, I have no intention of doing that. Okanogi removed his communication unit, his taser, and all his heavy equipment he had been carrying. He then unbuttoned his shirt and told his men to stay put as he stepped forward. He strode forward half of the distance toward the club members. Give me a moment. I am Okanogi, also known as Phoenix One the Mountain Dogs. I'm here to pay my respects to your leader. May I have their name? The club members looked at each other. One of them was a girl taller than the others. She couldn't be that old, but her hawk-like eyes were as sharp as a veteran soldier's. Okanogi didn't know her circumstances, but only those whose lives were threatened on a daily basis had eyes like that. I'm the leader of this club. My name is Sonozaki Mion. The girl stepped forward. How old are you? No, your age doesn't matter. From the turmoil of the police station this morning to the battle on this mountain, were you responsible for it all? The girl didn't answer, but her silence confirmed it, more strongly than anything she could have said. You've won this battle. Our princess is the only one who can understand that. There's nothing else we can do at this point. Tomitake broke through the blockade. I'm sure he's already called Tokyo. I don't know when the suppression unit will arrive, but it's just a matter of time, I'm sure. If you want to laugh, go right ahead. Okanogi, what are you doing? That's the enemy commander. Take her down. Don't pay any attention to her. What do you want? You're the leader, and so am I. You understand, don't you? Is he surrendering?
I can understand. He's in charge of a whole army and all his men are down, so he can't just nod his head and accept defeat. So the defeated general can only requite himself by sacrificing himself, huh?
Fine. Do what you need to satisfy yourself. I appreciate it. Mion took a stance. Okanogi took a stance too. Although Okanogi was nothing like Akasaka, he was still a close combat specialist. Even when exhausted, there was no way Mion could defeat him. Takano thought so too. She thought Mion was underestimating Okanogi, but Mion knew. She knew she was the only one who could put him at ease. Are you ready? Take this! Okanogi readied, launched sharp from his waist, but Mion deflected to the side with her elbow, wrapped her arm around it underneath, wrenching it back behind him, and forced it into a hold. And then she twisted his arm even further. Okanogi was certain she was going to snap a bone. It was an excellent technique. She took his arm in one flowing motion. It was clear that Mion's self-defense techniques weren't the spur of the moment. However, she didn't break Okanogi's arm, but instead threw him onto the ground. She didn't even deliver the final blow, but rather chose to look down on him. Not bad. Okanogi, what are you doing? Hurry up and subdue her! Shut up! You just shut up and watch. This is a battle between leaders of men. Okanogi got up quickly and took a stance again, and swung his arm down. But Mion avoided it effortlessly, just like she did before. She grabbed his arm and turned it around. They were in the same position as before. And just like what happened then, she didn't break his arm, but threw him onto the ground and looked down on him. A rotation throw, huh? The way you move. It's not the Yoshinkan technique, is it? It's the classic Kobukan one. By the way, when you take your opponent's arm, you can knee him in the face if you want.
I see. I'll try that next time.
Oh wow, Mion's incredible. She's actually standing toe-to-toe with her commander. Okanogi, use your weapons! What do you think you're doing? Here I come! He had a stronger drive this time. He tried to kick right through her from a step and a half away, yet this time Mion stepped in to launch her own attack, jumping right toward the foot, trying to kick her. Mion kept herself low as she entered close range with Okanogi, shutting out his leg, trying to kick her. So of course he went after her head. Okanogi raised his right arm to elbow her in the skull, but this time Mion rose up, using both hands to keep his arm from swinging down. Unlike the flowing motions from earlier, there was simply a contest of strength. His physique was overwhelmingly superior to hers, so she couldn't win with that test of strength. But suddenly Mion let go and allowed Okanogi's elbow to come down. Then she stepped to the side. It's another repeat from before. Okanogi's arm was held to his back, and he ended up in the same position. But what came after was different. Okanogi's face lowered as Mion lifted his arm up high, and then she swiftly brought her knee into his face. It was exactly the technique that Okanogi told her about just earlier, and once again he was down on the ground. That's it. You learn quickly, don't you? You know, strategies, tactics, and combat. You already have everything you need to be an effective commander. You should have been in my position. You should have been the one to lead these shitty mountain dogs.
Huh? Sorry, I never wanted to be a leader of a shitty unit like yours.
Mion scoffed. Okanogi took it with a smile, too. He wasn't trying to be humble, it was just his pure reaction. You're right. You shouldn't waste your talent in Japanese unconventional warfare units. I bet you could lead the SAS, Delta, Spetsnaz, whatever you join, you'd be one of their best. In any case.
SAS? Delta Force? Lame. All that is just way too boring.
Yeah, I guess you're right. You're right. Then tell me, what kind of folks do you want to be CO for?
I'm not interested in being in charge of any units at all. Being a leader's fine.
A leader. The leader of the British Intelligence Service, huh? That's fitting.
No way! Listen, there's only one club I want to lead, and that's the club in our Hinamizawa branch school. I'm not interested in games without penalties. The Magician of Words, Maibara Keiichi, Seeker of all things adorable and cute, Ryugu Rena, Trap Master Sadako, and the charming Enticer Rika. And last but not least, our newcomer, Furude Hanyu. I'll never find anything more fun than playing with them, even if I search this entire world.
No wonder. No wonder we couldn't win. With her as their leader, there's no way we would have won. Okanogi! Get a hold of yourself! Takano yelled at him, but Okanogi didn't hear it. Are we finished with the warm-up? This next one's for real. You're going to die. Be ready for that.
Come on! I'll give you a fitting end. Something that you've been wanting all this time.
Good enough. Here I come! Okanogi took about 5 steps backwards, breathed deep. His body twisted as he gathered all of his spirit into his right fist. Just as he said, this next attack would be for real. He was putting everything he had into this one final blow. Mio narrowed her eyes, preparing to parry the blow with her side. The sky began to stir. They both felt raindrops on their foreheads. Here I go. I'm gonna kill you, so come and get me, okay?
Whenever you're done praying, go right ahead.
That one tense moment was suddenly brought to an end. He dashed forward with a low position, just like a runner from a starting line. Then he added the twist from his body into the blow, as his right arm roared with all his power. A bolt of lightning punctuated that moment in time, burning the moment into our eyes. At that moment, Mion's stance hadn't changed at all. No, maybe she moved like lightning the moment it struck. We had to recall the moment it burned into our eyes to reveal the scene. Okanogi had swung with his right fist, which had enough power to shatter Mion's bones, so what if 100% of his power was directed back at him in a counterattack? When the lightning struck, Okanogi's body had been flying through the air. It was a legendary technique in Japanese martial arts, passed down in Judo and Aikido, the air throw. It looked as though one was being thrown without his opponent even touching him, a miraculous technique that occurs at lightning speed. Of all the techniques Mion possessed, It was the most sublime advanced technique she could administer on the defeated General Okanogi. The feeling of freedom while flying in the air is more memorable than the impact of hitting the ground, supposedly. When Okanogi hit the ground behind Mion, a heavy rain suddenly began to fall. And just as it did, a massive helicopter appeared from the other side of the mountain. The helicopter's rotors stirred up in the air and blew away the raindrops like a tornado. The rotor sounded like a tornado, too. A rope uncoiled from the end of the rear of the helicopter, and soldiers came sliding down on it, one after another. The onlookers were stunned for a moment before realizing what they were seeing. It was the bloodhounds. The bloodhounds that Tomitake had called in. Can I just interject really quick? That should have been in the anime. I wish that was there. Anyway, having realized how bad the situation had become, Okanogi returned to the other members of the Mountain Dogs. Nothing was going their way anymore. The Mountain Dogs ran down the slope and disappeared into the woods. They dragged Takano with them, who couldn't understand what was going on. A voice echoed from the speaker attached to another helicopter circling around the mountain. To all the staff in the Erie Institute, today at 12:30 p.m., the Institute's independent authority was frozen and is now under control of the Bloodhounds. As of the same moment, HQ has ordered complete disarmament of all Erie Institute staff. All the Mountain Dogs are to disarm themselves immediately and gather in the parking lot of the Erie Clinic or at the storage shack at the top of the mountain. Failure to respond accordingly will result in discipline not only under civilian law, but under self-defense force rules as well. Bloodhound members continued to slide down the rope from the helicopter. Even at a glance, they were different from the Mountain Dogs. They were armed more heavily, and the guns they had were much larger. Such things clearly differentiated the two units.
Does this mean that we have won? I don't know. I've never seen this before, so I don't know if we really did.
Sadako and Rika sat down and hugged each other. They were both soaked in rain, but they still sat down in the mud. Mion stood solemnly in the rain as the leader of the winning team. The Mountain Dogs had abandoned the field. They all ran away with their tails between their legs. Keiichi and Rena ran over to Mion. Mion!
Mi-chan!
It's over. Yeah, our club activity is over.
Rika's safe. Everyone else is safe. Mi-chan, it's our victory.
You led us this far, Mion. It's all thanks to you. But Mion didn't seem to be listening to Keiichi and Rena. Instead, she mumbled to herself. I like punishments. Club activities can be cruel, huh? We fight to decide who's the loser. So that means everyone looks down on whoever does lose, right? We don't look down on anyone. We just do the punishment and that's it. Yeah. We do the punishment and that's it. We all enjoy laughing at the loser and then forget about it. That's why I like what we do. We all laugh, including the one who came in last. Nobody gets hurt. We all laugh and then we're done with it. That Okanogi guy thought he couldn't purify his sins unless he was defeated by me. I mean, sure, it got pretty serious. We were almost killed too, but it's all over, right? The game is over, and even though it is, there is no punishment for the Mountain Dogs. Mio might have realized something when she threw Okanogi. Keiichi didn't think anyone else could understand that. I don't know what you're trying to say, Mion. Forget about it. It's all over for them anyway. Yeah, you're right. Everything is all over now. We're all alive. Nobody gets seriously hurt, so let's enjoy a happy ending. That's right. Nobody got hurt. It really is a happy ending. While they hadn't yet confirmed Shion and Kasai's safety, they were correct. This was a happy ending that they had all been fighting for. However, Mion was still thinking. She only understood the reason for that in the moment the thunder struck. But as soon as the flash of the lightning disappeared, her understanding vanished as well. All she could remember is that she noticed something very important, and that shortly after she completely forgot about it. She could only feel a great sense of loss. The Bloodhounds soon surrounded the club members. At first, they thought the club members were their enemies, but when Tomitake appeared, he explained the whole situation. The commander of the Bloodhounds appeared to beg the club members not to say a word about anything, as it was a politically sensitive incident. It was amusing to see a man like that beg while carrying all those weapons. Of course, they had no intention of talking to anyone about it. Once it had ended, it all felt like a bad dream. If on the following day, someone asked them what they had been doing, they might not even remember it. stay was that unrealistic for them. So even if they were asked, they wouldn't say a word. Rika, I'm glad you're safe.
Akasaka, I'm glad you're safe too. Me.
It all worked out great, too. Are you alright? The clinic's being occupied by the watchdogs. The mountain dogs are all surrendering, too. Dr. Erie and the boy he was hiding have been put under Bloodhound's protection as well.
Coach is safe too, is he? I'm very glad about that. Wait, a boy? I do wonder who could that be. Perhaps Tomina and Okamura were injured. Sadako, I'm very happy for you.
She knows it's Satoshi. Rika's smile made it clear that she had gone through. Someone can only smile like that after such a long and exhausting struggle. Sadako had no idea what that smile meant. How much time would be to make her understand. Still, Irie will do something about it. For certain. He will bring Sadako's Nini back home.
That's right, Sadako. You haven't taken your shot today, have you? You can't forget about that. Ah, quite true. How troublesome that I can't forget about the shot, even in this situation.
Sadako seemed to have no idea her medication was connected to the syndrome. Perhaps she was already aware, but pretended not to be. Rika vowed to herself that no matter how long it took, she was going to witness with her own eyes that moment her best friend finally parted with her tragic past.
At least I only need to take the shot twice a day. It was 3 times for the previous one.
Sadako also had no idea that Satoshi was involved in the development of her medication. Irie had said that Satoshi, as a stepson, had contributed much to Sadako's treatment. Even while asleep, Sadako longed to see the ease burden on Satoshi. Those feelings must have influenced Sadako's medicine somehow. Sadako had to inject herself in the stomach. For privacy, she ran to the grove of trees to give herself a shot. There was no danger of her doing so. One after another, the bloodhounds dropped down from the helicopters. Each helicopter must have carried at least 20 to 30 soldiers. There was one helicopter at the top of the mountain, 2 more halfway down the slope. Troops were pouring down all of them, leaving the impression the entire mountain was under the bloodhounds' control. Nobody fired their weapons even once. The mountain dogs had no choice but to surrender. It wasn't raining hard at all. The sky should clear up about 20 to 30 minutes. It was a volatile weather typical of early summer. Sadako soon returned and spoke to her best friend.
Rika, I haven't seen Hanyu around. She was here a moment ago.
Huh? Hanyu? Hanyu, where are you? It was stupid of me to think that Tokyo had sent more support. They're acting as if they'd known of their loss for a while now. I was the only one who didn't know. What's going on? Tell me this minute, Okanogi! This is it. They're the Bloodhounds. Nomitake call them in. The Bloodhounds? I heard that name before. But aren't they similar to the Mountain Dogs? Why aren't you fighting back? You've got to be kidding me. We Mountain Dogs are simply a counterintelligence unit. On the other hand, the Bloodhounds are a real combat battalion. There's no way we could defeat them. Battalion, I'm sorry. The remaining 3 members looked at me in exhaustion. Why are they here in the first place? We captured Tomitake. Are there more spies? Who are they? Major, the clinic was attacked earlier. Haven't you heard the first lieutenant Tomitake escaped? One of the 3 spoke up timidly, but Okanogi signaled him to shut up. Nobody told me this. When did that happen? What's going on, Okanogi? Wasn't there a blockade exactly so they couldn't escape the village? They aren't even responding to me anymore. I've been left behind. I'm the only one who didn't know. I'm being left out. The members looked at Okanogi, waiting for his command. Nobody's waiting for my order. Nobody even cares about my orders. Commander, there's a radio call from the command vehicle. One of the members handed the intercom to Okanogi. This is Phoenix 1. Commander, final orders from Cuckoo. Execute Cuckoo. Cuckoo, roger that. Wait, it's supposed to be Cuckoo. I'm sorry, I keep saying it wrong. I don't know how to say it right. If they didn't want me to say Cuckoo, they should have spelled it that way. Okay? I hate how it's not phonetic. Anyway, the Bloodhounds have us surrounded. We're being advised to surrender. What should we do? Command vehicle. No, Oto Ayadachi, good work. You're clear to surrender. Disarm yourselves and follow the orders of the Bloodhounds. Roger that, Commander. All units listen up. The command vehicle has been compromised. The clinic's probably in the enemy's hands as well. We've lost all our backups as well as equipment. All teams have been wiped out. I'm sure everyone's disarming themselves. The Mountain Dogs have been completely defeated. No, not yet! Get in touch with Nomura in Tokyo. The Bloodhounds. So what? She'll send in units who can defeat them immediately. R is still alive. We can activate the file operation. I must let Nomura know that. We have to restore communication with Tokyo. We really shouldn't have cut the telephone connections, but we did, so we'll have to recover the command vehicle. We'll get in touch with Tokyo on the radio. Fortunately, the men in the command vehicle surrendered without resistance, so I'm sure the Bloodhound's guard is down. Okanogi, you and the other three will be enough. It's still the 19th of June. The operation starts on the 21st, or is it supposed to be the 22nd? We still have time. We'll manage, Okanogi. Go recover the command vehicle immediately. Why can't you follow my orders? I'm a major. I'm your superior. Why are you listening to Okanogi but not me? Major, did you hear what the helicopter said earlier? We've lost. There's absolutely nothing we can do anymore. What are you saying, Okanogi? Are you already giving up? You saw that R is alive, didn't you? What happened today was all because of the rumor that R was dead. But she's alive. That means today didn't happen. We can still use the emergency manual. As long as the Queen Carrier is alive, all we have to do is kill her, and we'll have 48 hours to execute the manual. Major, it's far beyond that point already. Tokyo doesn't care about the Queen Carrier or the 48 hours after death. Our final operation is a complete failure. Our clients must be running around desperately trying to destroy evidence. Our job here is done. I commanded the Mountain Dogs for about 10 years. It was a valuable experience, but it's all over today. And Major, your job's over too. What? What do you mean my job is over? What are you talking about? Major, your job was to rear that scrapbook in your hands. What are you talking about? I didn't expect Okanogi to start talking about Grandfather's scrapbook. I don't doubt that there's a disease called Hinamizawa syndrome, but the whole village going into panic about 48 hours after the Queen dies. No one's ever seen that happen. No one knows if that's true or not. Don't be ridiculous! Look here, it's somewhere in here. Where? I know it's in here, from the studies of other similar parasites in the brain that the statistics say. Damn it, where is it? I flipped through the pages of the scrapbook in a panic. I can't even remember which page I'm looking for. Okanogi slapped the scrapbook aside and it thudded. No, it landed into a muddy puddle, so it splashed onto the ground. The open pages of the scrapbook were face down in the muddy water, and already turning color as they soaked up the mud. What are you doing? This is the most important! As I crouched down to pick up the scrapbook, Okanogi stepped on it. A splash of muddy water hit me in the face. I had to witness my precious scrapbook being stepped on and covered in filth. Major, I don't really care what's in this scrapbook is true or false. As a matter of fact, nobody does. What do you mean by that? I tried to get the scrapbook from under Okanogi's foot, but I couldn't pull it out. The clients in Tokyo merely wanted to see how many people would actually believe what's in the scrapbook. They didn't even care if it was the truth or lies as long as it was believable. They didn't care? No, they didn't. They just wanted some famous doctor to research the subject and come up with a report full of difficult terminology so they could deceive people. That was your job. No! This isn't a lie! My grandfather and I researched it for so many years! Come on! Move your foot! The scrapbook is getting soaked through. I'm trying my best so it's not ruined, but it's no use. The Queen dies and the village must be killed. All you had to do was convince the higher-ups of that crazy story. Nobody cared about the parasites to begin with. They only cared if it could be used for political gain. You knew that, didn't you? And at this point, nobody will ever pay attention to any of that nonsense again. A lot of people bet on this scrapbook and they lost. The Mountain Dogs lost too. That's all there is to it. This is nonsense! The scrapbook holds the truth. Everything is in this is the truth. My grandfather researched it. I researched it. This is the result. Everyone believed in it. That's why they built such a beautiful research center, isn't it? They believed in it, and that's why Nomura got in touch with me. There must be other people who believe in my work, because all this is for the future of humankind. Okanogi got fed up and kicked me. I don't weigh much, so I fell backwards and became soaked in muddy water. Okanogi walked over and looked down at me. Fortunately, there's still something the clients in Tokyo are expecting from you. Hey! One of the mountain dogs handed a gun to Okanogi. Okanogi checked the cylinder and threw it over to me. What is this? Major, why don't you use that gun to shoot yourself in the head? What? I looked at the gun. I'm used to seeing guns working at the Erie Institute as I do. I was never frightened by guns before, but for the first time I feel scared just looking at one. You know, this happens all the time, Major. Please take responsibility as a leader of the defeated force and shoot yourself. What are you saying? Nobody has ever told me to die before. Nobody has ever told me to kill myself. If you die, the clients can just blame you for everything. Actually, Tokyo is already prepared to do that. Don't be ridiculous! Why should I have to do that? I'm starting to sob. My body is shaking all over. Well, you don't have to do it yourself if you don't want to. Maybe that's too much to ask of you right now. Okanogi pulled out his gun and pointed it at me. The other members, having realized everything will work out if I die, just looked at me coldly. I'm going to say that I tried to talk you into surrendering, but you refused. We shot at each other and I had to kill you. That's a scenario. I gave you the gun so you could kill yourself rather than being killed by me. It's to show my appreciation for the time that we've known each other. I don't want it to end like that. No. Who came up with this plan in the first place? I don't want this. It was your dearest friend, Nomura from Tokyo. They had a plan for damage control in case the final operation failed. Nomura's current name is Cuckoo, and yours is Baby Bird, isn't it? You know what cuckoos lay their eggs? What? Cuckoos lay their eggs in other birds' nests. Once they hatch, they kill the young of the original owner by pushing them out of the nest and take it over. The baby birds on the ground are left helpless, and they usually end up eaten by mountain dogs. I used the money I got from Uncle Koizumi to pay the mountain dogs, thinking I had gained a reliable ally. I always thought, though, although Okanogi was barbaric, that he was very reliable, but my nest had been taken over. Major, you never had any allies to begin with. All you had to do was exactly what the clients in Tokyo wanted you to do, but now that's over. Now you need to exit the stage. Take it. It's your precious scrapbook. Hold that in your left hand and pick up the gun on your right. The scrapbook was finally returned to me, covered in mud. I held it with both hands and cried. What a joke the entire life of Takanomiya was. Right now is when I should just go back inside that chain link fence. My shaking hands held the ice-cold gun. There's only one bullet in here. Sometimes a bullet can ricochet on the scalp. So that's why people usually put the muzzle in their mouths. Come on, hold the gun and point it like this, and die. In the hills of the mountain, a single gunshot echoed. With that gunshot, members of the Bloodhounds rushed in. Okanogi and the other men raised their hands in surrender. Major Takano was with us, but she refused to surrender. She tried shooting at us, so I had to fire a shot to intimidate her. Retriever Saturn, the leader. We arrested First Lieutenant Okanogi and the 3 other members of the Mountain Dogs. Major Takano's on the run. Her footprints are heading southwest, but the brush is too thick and we can't go in any further. Requesting backup. Major Takano is armed. I repeat, Major Takano is armed. Retriever leader to all units. Major Takano is on the run. She's armed, so be cautious. Patrol the area and force her out. I'm running through the mountain covered in dirt, and still holding the muddy scrapbook. I kept falling because of the mud, and the branches and tree roots continued to torment me. I lost one of my shoes, so I decided to get rid of the other shoe, too. This isn't the first time I had to run like this. This isn't the first time I ran barefoot. This isn't the first time I felt such pain in the soles of my feet. This isn't the first time I've cried like this. I repeat, Major Takano, disarm yourself and surrender. You can't escape. The Mountain Dogs have surrendered. You have no more allies. The helicopter above my head is calling out my name. I crawled out into the hollow tree and held my knees and hid. The last time I ran barefoot like this was a very long time ago. My feet are bloody and swollen, and I can no longer walk. I can only cry as I bite the corner of my scrapbook. Sadness and humiliation fight for dominance in my heart. When I feel sad, I cry, and when I feel humiliated, I scratch myself to calm my anger. And I still have the gun in my right hand, the one with a single bullet in it. I have to kill myself. My death is the only thing that can bring it all to an end. Killing myself is the only way to go back to that day. But when I look at the scrapbook in my left hand, I'm assaulted by sadness and fear. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. Just die. Atone for your actions with your death. I will call the look in Okanogi's eyes. I know I've committed sins. There are so many sins. Too many of them. There are more sins that I can possibly atone for. But do I have to die for them? No, I don't want to die. I cried again, and I noticed someone standing nearby. It's the girl. The girl whom I met when I came to Hinamizawa when the Eerie Institute first opened. I met this girl at the shrine that declared war on God. This girl is the god of this place. That god looked at me and sneered rather than sympathizing.
Are you still trying to take God's place? Do you still deny that you're human?
Long time no see. I lost this game. This is what I get for challenging God, I guess.
Human child, are you still after the position of God? Are you still willing to endure for the sake of deposing the divine?
No way. Taking God's place is really impossible.
Child of man, listen well. I will show you the way to godhood. With your gun in your right hand and your life, the position of God requires no flesh. Don't expect people to recognize your existence. Being a god is lonesome. You foolish child, wanted to become one. Is that still what you desire?
Are you telling me to shoot myself with this? That's it. Something that simple would make me a god. That's so simple. Then what is this? What I've been doing all this time?
You shoulder the sins of many others. You purify all their sins by sacrificing yourself. Your courage will be praised, and you will be allowed to take a seat among the gods.
What's that? You're telling me to be their scapegoat, to take responsibility for all of them and die? Fuck you! I refuse! I absolutely refuse!
Why don't you want that? To attain peace in the human world, there always must be one sacrifice for one sin. Isn't that the truth of the human world? Isn't that the method for purifying sin? Didn't you want to sacrifice one girl for the future you desired?
What are you talking about? I don't understand anything you're saying!
You don't, because you are a human. You don't even know how stupid you were to even want to become a god.
I do. I don't want to die for other people to become a god. No way. I don't want to become a god at all. I am fine with being human. I just wanted someone to forgive me for being that way. That's all, but why is this happening?
Then how will you purify the stain? How will you pay the price?
Why does someone have to take the blame? They're all pushing responsibility onto other people. They maneuver this way and that, just so they don't have to dirty their own hands. Is that just what happens in the human world? No, that's not. Because when my parents and my grandpa were alive, things like that didn't happen. We were all happy. Nobody blamed anybody else. How did I fall out of that world? Why am I wandering around the mountains alone in the rain? Why me? This is the punishment for my sins, isn't it? I knew it. I had noticed it. I had made a huge mistake, but I didn't want to admit it. And when it was too late, I regretted it for the first time. So this is the punishment for my sins.
The human world will want you to purify your sins. They will be purified when you sacrifice yourself. That is the way of the human world. However, I'm not a human. I am a being above man, a being which fills in the missing gaps in harmony, a being that forgives human sins. Man cannot forgive the sins of man. I am the one who forgives the sins of man. I forgive you. Demanding a sacrifice to be paid for sins isn't the way of the human world. It's the way of demons. So this is not the world of man. This is a world of demons created by man and the demons infesting them. Humans cannot end that way of their world. So I became a god to grant that end. It was over 1,000 years of pain. I wanted to come down from this place. I desired a world where God doesn't need to make peace. And finally, after 1,000 years' time, I have found that fragment. Child of man, I will forgive your sins in my name. Kneel and repent. Ask for forgiveness. Then you shall receive it. God will forgive you. God will forgive your human sins. The God in the human form walked up to me and reached out. As I knelt and looked down, she touched my head. I prefer child of man over human child. I'm sorry, it sounds better that way to me. Hanyu! Hanyu, where are you? Hanyu, answer if you can hear us!
I heard voices in the distance. And then I saw a girl standing in front of me. She's one of Mio's club members, my most hated enemies. Shit, she found me. The rain had already ceased. I decided to come out of the hollow tree. After the rain had grown so humid, I was starting to sweat all over. I'm soaked in sweat, mud, and rain. I feel filthy. I've been bitten by mosquitoes and my body is itching all over. This is why I hate the mountains. Don't say a word. I pointed the gun at her. The girl just looked at me calmly as if she didn't see it. At the very least, she did follow my order. What should I do? Should I take her as my hostage? I only have one bullet. How long can I keep running for? Hanyu! Where are you? Damn, she really is lost.
Ah, there she is! Hanyu!
Hanyu, where have you... I really am unlucky to the end. Or maybe you could call this kind of luck. At the end of it all, I managed to get some vengeance. Do you know what this is? It's a gun. Don't you dare move! The tables have turned now. Damn it, why now? Mio, if you don't want anyone else to get shot, step forward.
No, don't do it, Mi-chan!
Mio stepped forward quietly. She certainly has a lot of courage. No wonder she's their leader. Thanks to you, I've been ruined. Some scary men in the mountain want me dead. They won't forgive me. But I can't just go out like that. At the very least, I want some revenge. Ha! I know you only have one bullet in that gun. That's right. But that one bullet could kill Mio, couldn't it?
Takano! Are you going to shoot her?
Don't move. If you do, I really might just fire this gun. Don't any of you move. Just stay behind me. How courageous. Is this some spirit of self-sacrifice? Rather be shot yourself than letting your friends be shot.
Well, it's not that easy to kill someone with just one shot. Of course it depends on where you hit, though.
I'm surprised. How can you be so brave? You want me to shoot you for all the others. Just so you know, if you think that I'll hesitate to shoot because they'll rush over here once they hear it, you're sadly mistaken.
Go ahead and shoot me. But after you do, my friends will rip you to pieces.
Let them try. They say you dig two holes when you curse another. Going down along with the great commander who made Okanogi surrender wouldn't be so bad.
Go ahead and shoot me, but make sure it's me you hit. If you shoot anyone else, I'll put you through hell!
Oh my, I'm shaking.
Don't! Mi-chan! Takano is serious! She really will shoot you! Somehow we'll have to buy some time! Someone from the Bloodhounds will come by for sure!
I'm sure they will, but I'll shoot before I lose my chance. Let's see. Where should I hit her? I'm not good at this, so forgive me for not being able to aim that well.
You aren't serious, are you?
Don't anyone move. I'm the leader of this club. If I can protect you all, I'll be satisfied with that. If I don't make it, set up a shrine inside my locker and pray for me there. You'll be taking over my position, Kei-chan. Help him out, okay? Mion is prepared to die. I'm already cornered. I won't accept any words of negotiation. Mion understands that. She doesn't want anyone else to be killed. That's why she chose to be a shield for her friends. That was an easy decision to make for her, because none of her friends would end up hurt. If she ends up just getting injured, that would be a stroke of luck as far as she's concerned. Even if she doesn't make it, she thinks that's far better than seeing any of her friends die. And that's why Takano will shoot. Even though she understands Mion's noble intentions painfully well, it's too visceral for her to accept, so she'll shoot. I will pull the trigger. With all the absurdities of the human world riding on that bullet, I will shoot her. You all play games often, right? Have you ever played Old Maid? No. We play Old Man, though. They use the same rules. The human world is just like a game of Old Maid. Everyone's trying to foist the Old Maid onto someone else. It's a game that seeks to determine not a winner, but a single loser, the sacrifice. You see, I picked the Joker, but there's nobody else to pass the card to. That's why I'll shoot you as my revenge. Fitting for this irrational world of man, isn't it? I'm preparing myself to shoot. There's no hesitation left in me. I will shoot her. I'm serious. Mion closed her eyes and opened her arms to try and shield her friends as much as she could. And that was when Hanyu stepped forward and placed herself in front of Mion. Hanyu! Get back!
Brave Mion, I've witnessed your courage. That's more than enough. If the Joker can't be passed to anyone else in this human world, then it's my job to accept it.
Hanyu, what are you...
Rika, I had a lot of fun in this world. Thank you for letting me join the club. It was so much more fun to be in it than just to watch. So thank you. I enjoyed myself. I was so happy spending time with all of you.
In that moment, Hanyu glared at me adamantly.
Now shoot me, child of man. With that sin you must foist onto another. I will accept it.
Okay. Fine! Die! The club members must have thought I was joking or bluffing. They didn't think that I would actually shoot. There was a noise like something exploding. In a world where time became as sticky as syrup, we saw it happen. The silver bullet hitting an invisible wall in front of Hanyu, as though the wall was protecting her. The bullet wanted to pierce Hanyu's chest, but it wouldn't reach its goal. A bead of sweat formed on Hanyu's forehead. She had stopped the bullet with invisible force. Hanyu!
I'm okay. I can do this even in human form.
The silver bullet was being pushed back. Takano was startled by this otherworldly phenomenon, but then she spoke one phrase. You! Monster! The silver bullet smashed through that invisible wall. There was no longer a wall at all. There was no wall to protect Hanyu from the bullet. The bullet approached Hanyu's chest. Somebody let out a silent scream. Nobody could stop it. Nobody could stop that bullet. In the world of frozen time, nobody could stop the bullet that just stopped inches in front of Hanyu's chest. Hanyu's friends had seen this scene before, the moment of checkmate. No matter how much they screamed, there was no way to avoid this tragedy. They knew that from their memories. You will die for sure! Think about the good old times as much as you want. When you're finished doing that, the bullet will pierce your chest. Drown your own blood!
Unless I was prepared to do so, I wouldn't be here.
Hanyu thought this would take care of everything. Hanyu wasn't supposed to exist in the first place. She would leave the stage and the rest of the cast would remain unharmed. This is how it's supposed to be. But in that moment, something happened to surprise even Hanyu. In the world of frozen time in which nobody could move, Rika reached out and put her hand on the bullet that was stopped in midair. How could she move? Even Hanyu couldn't move. Why could a mere human like Rika grab that bullet? Don't be so surprised. You've already learned about that. You've learned about how to make a miracle happen. A lot of amazing things happened today, but none of them were worthy of being called a miracle. If we all believed in each other, it was supposed to happen. Therefore, I will perform a real miracle in this very last moment. I am the reincarnation of Oyashiro, after all, so let me make a miracle happen at the very end. Rika rubbed the frozen bullet gently, very gently, and then held it and embraced it lovingly, her hands at her chest. In that world where not even Hanyu could move. Now I realize neither Takano nor Hanyu listen when other people talk. Didn't you hear what Mion said? We don't play old maid. We play old man instead. Takano laughed and said that they were basically the same game, but they're totally different. In Old Maid, a single joker, an unharmonized element is added. To full harmonized set of cards, people try to foist it onto one another. But in Old Man, one card is removed from that harmonized world. Everyone foists the unharmonized fragments on each other. It's different than having a joker, because everything would be in harmony if there wasn't something missing. Players try to get rid of something in both games, but what they try to get rid of is very different. In our game, the loser is left with one last card too. I can understand how Takano thought they were the same thing, but they are different, because in our game, if the missing card was added back in, there would be no loser. Hanyu, the missing card in this world where someone has to foist their sins onto one another, has joined the game, so this game has no losers. Yet you're still trying to take one card away. What a waste of a miracle. This world doesn't need a losing card. That is, the answer I finally reached after a 1,000-year journey, trying to find a miracle. The answer has always been there. It was there in the very first game of Mion's club. There was always a loser because we were playing a game of cards with one missing. If we could fill in for the missing card by believing in each other and helping each other then, it would have been a complete full deck of 52 cards. A complete world without a loser. A complete world where no one is left out. Nobody has to stay out of the circle. Nobody has to cry or be burdened with sins. A world where everyone holds each other's hands and forgives each other's sins. When people live, there will be sin. What's important isn't to avoid sins, but to forgive them. A world can only become ugly and twisted when people try to stay pure. Let us accept our sins. Let us all forgive. That's the answer Furude Rika reached. A complete world. A world free from the sins of the human world, where one has to become a loser. Rika reached that as a human being. After an unbelievably long time, she finally reached it. Welcome home, Mother. The frozen time had begun to thaw. There was smoke coming out of the muzzle of Takano's gun, so it was definitely fired. However, nobody got hit. Keiichi looked around fearfully to make sure nobody was bleeding. They were all fine. Nobody had been shot. You missed! Serves you right. The tension lifted in Mion's body. She began to sweat all over. How did I miss at this distance? All the club members thought the same thing. It was a miracle that the bullet didn't hit anyone. The club members had all felt the same way. They were all thinking, if it's going to hit someone, let it hit me. However, Furude Rika wished for a miracle that was far beyond that. Rika wished for a miracle that was higher than self-sacrifice. She wished for a world where the bullet wouldn't hit anyone. She wished for a world where Takano wouldn't be hurt because she shot someone. Footsteps were rushing toward them. Takano tried to run, but she tripped over a root, the scrapbook in her hand scattered everywhere. As she tried to gather up the papers, members of the bloodhounds surrounded her. All the bloodhounds pointed their guns at her way. Some even poked her with them, but Takano didn't stop gathering up the papers. Some of the men stepped on the papers. Takano tried to pull them out from under them. She tried to pull them out, begging them in tears not to step on her precious papers. Major Takano, you are under arrest. So, It's all my fault, is it? The club members, feeling bad for her, looked at the ground. Stand up! Put your hands behind your back! Hey, don't resist! No! I want to take my grandpa's scrapbook with me! No! Takano just wanted to pick up the pages of her scrapbook. But the bloodhounds, thinking that she's just resisting, pulled on her hair to try to make her stand up. Although this was her fate, it was too hard to watch her be treated that way. And then, a noble voice resounded from among them. Wait! Radiating with divine light, a man appeared. They all knew this man very well, but they had never seen him look so determined. I'm First Lieutenant Tomitake from the Research Division. I'll take it from here. But, sir, we've been ordered by the headquarters to bring her back to Tokyo immediately. Can't you tell? Just look at her! Look at all the scars! She's been scratching herself! She must have Hinamizawa syndrome! There were lots of horrible scars on her wrists, arms, and neck. Takano had scratched herself throughout the day because of all the stress. There was no way for anybody to be certain if those were marks of the symptoms of the syndrome. And when Tomitake said that, it certainly sounded true. But the Major must have been given medication to prevent her from contracting the disease. There's no way she could have it. Haven't you read the report? It says that inoculation isn't 100% effective. If you read the report completely, you would understand these are symptoms of the terminal stage. The research division thinks that her treatment should take priority. We must determine if this incident was truly her will, or if she became delusional due to the syndrome, leading to someone to take advantage of that situation. We have to be very, very certain. Otherwise, it'll be impossible to resolve this matter. Was it her fault, or was it the fault of her disease? It's impossible to determine that right now. To make sure, she has the right to receive treatment, and she's obligated to let herself be treated. Shiro. Take her to the Irie Institute, so she can be examined immediately. Notify Lieutenant Colonel Irie so he can prepare to treat Major Takano. However, from here on, the Major will be placed under strict observation, and all activities will be restricted. The particular order should come from the command through Colonel Oka, Director of Investigations. The Bloodhounds conveyed all this information over the radio. Nobody had any objections. Their job was to arrest her after all. Any interrogations or investigations after that were their job and investigations. So those were the orders from the investigations, and that was that. Tomitake walked over to the muddy figure of Takano. Jiro! Takano buried her face in Tomitake's chest and cried. Only Tomitake and Takano knew the meaning of those tears. Sorry for being late. I'm here for you. Jiro! You're not as bad as you think you are. You can start over. You can start your life over as Tanashi Miyoko. I can't. I've committed too many sins. I shouldn't be allowed to start over. I should be dead. Otherwise, the weight of my sins will... Well, that's true. Your sins may not be so light, but don't worry. I'll be with you. We can atone together. Let's atone for Takanomiyo's sins. And let's bring back Tanashi Miyoko together. Until then, I'll be right here with you. Can I continue to live? Can I live? Everyone tells me if I die, things will work out. But can I still live? Are you saying I'm allowed to live? Can I be forgiven? The world may not forgive you, but so what? I'll forgive you. So let's live. Death can't atone for sins. You must live and ask the world to forgive you. And then you can start your life over. Then you will remember. You'll remember what kind of person you used to be, and what kind of smile you used to have. After a while, Takano was taken to the Irie Institute in handcuffs. She was, however, handcuffed with her hands in front of her. She was holding the scrapbook. Tomitake had cleaned the mud off of it. The downpour from the early afternoon had passed. The cicadas began singing again, reminding everyone this is a normal June in Hinamizawa. It was so hot despite being June, and the sky was brilliantly clear. Someone had asked someone else at the time. She looked at her watch. It was 3 p.m. The Watanagashi festival would be starting at 5. It was almost time. Even from there, the Furude shrine could be seen. There were red lanterns hanging all over. Once the sun went down, those lanterns would be lit. It was almost time for the Watanagashi festival. And with that, everything would end when the Higurashi cry. The game that stretched across different worlds had ended. The winner obtained after their victory. Is that the game ended without a loser. Hanyu was prepared to leave the game after it was over, but she was still there. She was allowed to be there. In other words, she wasn't a card that had to be taken away. The card that was taken to play their game of Old Man was no longer there. The breeze rustled Hanyu's sweaty, messed up hair. She was dumbfounded. Rika went over and stood next to her. She didn't need to say anything. She only smiled at Hanyu. That girl had pretended to be a bystander, but decided to step onto the stage, and then she thought that was enough and tried to step off of it. With those memories of her bright time on stage, she tried to step off, but someone grabbed her sleeve and stopped her. She was told that she could stay, and then she realized she was still on the stage, and she didn't have to leave after all. There was a spot for her on the stage, and she was no longer a bystander. And that was an unbelievable miracle. She didn't even exist in the script. Nobody needed her to be there, but the miracle had allowed her to stay. You suffered so much on your journey. This miracle isn't even enough to repay you for what you've gone through.
Nipa. This is more than enough. This miracle is more than enough.
Rika smiled at Hanyu one more time and passed her what was in her right hand. Hanyu felt something cold and hard. What was it? Hanyu slowly opened her hand and looked at it. It was the bullet that Takano had fired. This is the proof of their miracle. It is the proof that Hanyu could exist there. It was the proof that they could be together forever and ever. It'll be dark soon. It's time for the festival.
Oh,
we'll have so much fun together. You can't just watch us anymore. I'm sure there'll be plenty of punishments to torture the poor newcomer.
I don't have to just watch the Watanagashi festival, huh?
That's right, because you don't watch a festival, you enjoy it. Were they testing the speakers? It was still bright outside, but there was music playing already. The cheap dub music collection of the festival music could be heard from the Furude Shrine in the distance. It sounded so exciting to her. This is what she wanted to join in on all this time. Rika held her hand. Let's go together. Let's go to the Watanagashi festival, all of us. Together.
Yeah.
Give me a moment. They had almost too much energy left. It had been a long day. Many things had happened. But they still had energy to go to the festival. It was, after all, a special day of Watanagashi. The curse of Oyashiro had been lifted, and no tragedy would ever occur again. It was the first peaceful Watanagashi, the first one without a tragedy since the dam conflict. The villagers had noticed the phone lines were disconnected during the day, but it was fixed so quickly they didn't pay much attention. They heard the self-defense force helicopter in the mountains, but rumor had it they came to the wrong place for their training. The elderly villagers laughed and said the young men of the National Defense Force need to pay more attention. Some people say the self-defense force even came to the Erie Clinic. The villagers didn't even get suspicious about that. They assumed the Erie Clinic had started doing physical checkups for the SDF. There were pieces of broken glass on the roadside near the village border, as if there was an accident. Some people wondered how could have anyone made an accident when there was no obstruction on the road. The elderly people said to each other they'd always driven carefully, even on a familiar road, but it only looked like the trace of a normal accident, so they didn't get suspicious. The rest was a ghost story. The villagers heard extra fireworks to signal the festival taking place. It wasn't an echo. The people in charge of the fireworks were puzzled, but when Rika said Oyashiro must have shot an extra firework, the villagers simply believed that was true. It was the night of Watanagashi. the biggest festival of the year. The villagers forgot their worries and enjoyed themselves. The club members were doing great as usual. I still have to clean my face, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The club members were doing great as usual. They were doing so great, they were all taken to the main tent and yelled at by the mayor. That was a normal Watanagashi night for the villagers, but there was one thing that was very different. The girls fought for an unimaginably long time in many different worlds for the sake of this night. However, nobody would ever know that. Oh, there was another big change too. Fururika said that she wants to go to the pool in the summer. It was unusual for her to say that she wants to do something. She wants to see the stars. She wants to go on a camping trip. She wants to look at the sunflowers. She wants to make the school into a haunted house, etc. There's so many things that she wants to do over the summer break. Right. Fururika for the first time is making plans for after June 1983. Because this is the first summer break she's going to experience after 100 years of repeating the same life. She'll now experience an all-new summer vacation. Who would stop her from getting excited about that? Fururika is looking forward to waking up before Sadako to rip off the page of the calendar at the end of June. Fururika's infinite future has begun. There are infinite possibilities, and she can only make one choice. But that's why it's a great world. Let's talk for a moment about how the people who fought with Fururika. Sonozaki Mion has vowed to study hard so she can continue her education after the summer break. According to Keiichi, even that may not be enough time for her. However, how can the legendary club leader Sonozaki Mio fail entrance exam? She'll more than likely find a way to get into the school that she wants to go. Hopefully it isn't an illegal one. Anyhow, she's looking forward to enjoying her final summer break, so she has tons of plans. The club members can't get away from Mio even during the summer. Once you're involved with her, she'll always find a way to get at you. No matter how much you want to be alone, you'll never go back to spending a boring summer by yourself. Maibara Keiichi has been asked by Mion and Chie to be the next class president. He's also asked to be the next club leader too, but he declined immediately. Keiichi likes the club because Mion runs it. He continued to say it's Mion's club until she got mad. Keiichi can't understand why she's so angry. Well, Keiichi wouldn't be Keiichi if he wasn't dense. So things are rather lively around him again today. His good name continues to be spread even in Okinomiya. Rugurena is growing more energetic every day too. Sadako, Rika, and Hanyu spend every day in fear of being abducted by her. Still, she's been acting more mature lately. She takes care of her younger classmates, and she's almost like a mother figure to the class. She's like a mother figure of all the club members too. After hearing that, Keiichi said that he'd be a father for the class. As usual, Rena thought about that too much and blushed. Hojo Sadako was as lively as ever. She used up most of her traps in the mountains during the battle with the mountain dogs, so she's setting up for the new ones for the next event. Rumor has it somewhere members of the Bloodhounds are so impressed with her trap techniques that they asked her for some lessons. There's supposed to be a training area for the Mount Fuji, but they asked her to set up her traps there. That's not a very good idea. The Sea of Trees will really become a forest of no return. Either way, Sadako keeps saying how she wants to fight against the Bloodhounds next. She's invincible. Also, she's become a great cook. That's because Hanyu's been teaching her. According to Hanyu, Sadako's a quick learner compared to Rika. Sadako's dream is to master fried chicken, which is her brother's favorite, and welcome him home with it. I'm the only one who knows this, but her dream may come true very soon. As for her brother, Hojo Satoshi has yet to return home. His condition is unchanged. If there's been any change, it's Sonozaki Shion. She goes to the clinic on her days off. Nobody knows why she goes there, but she seems to be very happy, so nobody pays attention to it much. Mion has teased Shion by saying maybe she's planning on getting implants, but Shion just smiles. Also, for whatever reason, she's been visiting her relative's clothes shop and buying all kinds of men's clothing. Lately, she's started even buying more than men's clothing, but why is she so excited when she visits the clinic with a maid outfit that's not in her size? The truth is shrouded in mystery. The biggest change is probably that she babies Sadako nowadays. She tries to make Sadako call her Nene, which only annoys Sadako. Kyosuke Irie has 2 jobs now. On one hand, he's a respected doctor. On the other hand, he's an evangelist for maids. The Irie clinic was supposed to be closed, but the villagers pleaded with authorities not to shut it down. While Irie is not originally from the village, he and everyone else feels he's one of the villagers now, and he's an indispensable part of village life. In other words, woo! The clinic is still up! The conservative attitude toward Hinamizawa syndrome is gone, and now is being researched very proactively. In other words, Takano gets what she wants when she loses! See? The syndrome is being researched so passionately that hopefully in the near future all the victims of this disease will be freed for good. Also later on, Irie will publish an advanced article about the influence of the brain on human behavior, which will surprise people in the medical world. I won't go into details here, but it'll talk about how one should hate the sins instead of the sinner. The deceased Takano Hifumi and Takano Miyo's names will be mentioned in the article. See? See? God, I love this! Tomi Takejiro still visits Hinamizawa every season. He's still known as the fighting traveling photographer. He continues to walk around the village looking for good picture spots. However, he isn't seen in the village as much as before. His bicycle is always parked around the back of the clinic, so maybe he spends a lot of time there. Some of the villagers says maybe he's sick and being treated, but his bright smile proves they are wrong. Takano Miyo hasn't been seen since that day. Nobody knows where she has gone, but obviously Tomitake isn't worried, so she must be doing fine. She'll probably show up one day out of nowhere and start telling ghost stories to scare some kids. As for Mamoru Akasaka, what happened to him was pretty funny. His wife and daughter followed him in secret. They pretended to run into him at the festival. Rika called him Papa, so things grew complicated all of a sudden. Akasaka's wife smiled, but she choked his neck with her braided hair. Her arms were folded, but her braid moved like a tail. Squeeze. She tortured a man who destroyed the Special Forces unit without even using a weapon. Rika continued to tease him, making the situation even worse. However, Akasaka's family liked Hinamizawa and said they wanted to come back. Akasaka's daughter and Rika grew so close, they seemed like sisters. You know, hold on. Kurado Oishi has gone back into playing mahjong. For whatever reason, Sonosaki Akane has joined his table too. There are rumors of Riot Squad almost got dispatched to the mahjong parlor one time. His colleagues say Oishi has calmed down quite a bit. It's probably because he's reached closure within himself, but his colleagues know nothing about that. He's planning to move to Hokkaido when he retires, but he wants to come back every summer. His bright second life is waiting for him. Tatsuyoshi Kasei hasn't changed much compared to the others. To some people, this is a life-changing event, but for Kasei, it's just another episode added to his tale of heroics. According to Kasei, this incident was just a little bigger than usual. If this was just a little unusual, then what in the world would be needed to impress him? She would insist that he will tell her, but Kasei only tells her that it's a secret. Also, he regretted exposing that part of his past. Shion keeps begging him to tell her all about it, but he simply ignores her. I'm gonna treat this as putting my thoughts, too. Let me talk about myself, too. I, Hanyu, am doing great in my new life as Furude Hanyu. I'm finally getting better at playing games, and now I'm taking the role of the club's dark horse, a position formerly reserved for Maibara Keiichi. I have a bad habit of believing everything I hear, so Mia and the others always tell me some strange things. Except that I'm getting tougher to be put in a good way, sure to put in a bad one. But then, I need to, otherwise I wouldn't survive at all in this club. I'm going to continue to learn lots of stuff through these club activities so I can live in this human world. Sunday, June 19th, 1983. Night falls on the longest day of the past thousands of years. The club members are having a glass. A lot of people are here. The stall vendors are still doing business.
The speakers are blaring rough yet excitingly festival music. I've known all of these, but how wonderful it is to actually feel and hear them in person. I thought I knew. I thought I knew because I've been following and watching them. But that was completely different. I knew of it, but this is the first time I've actually experienced it. We had a takoyaki eating contest, and there was no octopus in it, but it was still very tasty. We had a shaved ice eating contest. I would have enjoyed the shaved ice if I had eaten it more slowly. I brought a candied apple for the first time. Everyone took a bite from it. It was tasty, and it was fun. We played a shooting game, and I didn't know how difficult it would be to shoot a target, but it was fun too. Also, we played a shady lottery game. It was one of these things where you pull a string and got a prize. Nobody got a good prize, and we all complained about it to the vendor. That, too, was just so much fun. When it was time for the dedication dance. Of course we go there early, so we commandeered the best seats. I snuck out and stood where I was told to. I could see better than the other club members. This is the spot where the object of worship sat. This is where I was supposed to be during the ritual dance. No, this is where I thought I had to be. But seeing the dance from that spot wasn't fun. Therefore, I returned to where I was and sat with everyone else. They saved me a spot. Everyone rubbed my head while asking where I went. I apologized by saying, "Oh well." That made me very happy. I watched the performance in the crowd of people. It was the best dance I ever witnessed in the past thousands of years. I couldn't keep either my happiness or my tears from flowing out. After the dance was over, a handful of cotton was passed around to all the villagers. We let the cotton absorb all the filth and the sins of the past year, and washed it down the stream. Cotton is cotton. Obviously, it's not human. We use cotton instead of a human so that nobody is sad. In other words, this is a way to purify sins without making anyone suffer. Here you are. This is for you, Hanyu. Do you know how to do it? Yes, I do. I go like this and drift it down the stream, right? The girl who gave me the cotton took the letter I from her name from last year's Watanagashi and washed it down the stream. By doing so, she was free from her suffering and began a new life. We drifted our sins down the stream. It's not the same as pushing our sins onto the cotton. Instead, we wash away our own sins and forgive ourselves. We forgive each other. We help each other. And that's how we create our own story. I put my cotton in the stream gently. The cotton went down the stream, into the world, where sins are cleansed. I let my bare feet soak in the clear stream, as I watched the long, long line of cotton flowing down the stream in the dark, surrounded by people sending their cotton flowing down the wondrous stream. This is a complete world where all the fragments are put together. This is an ideal world. What else is there? What else do you need? Furude Hanyu still wants more because we can be even happier than this. We can be happier if we wish to be. Not a long time from now, but in the near future. Then when is it? I told you it's in the near future. We'll be happy then too. See? Everyone has the right to pursue a happy life. The difficult part is to be given that right. Everyone has a right to pursue a happy life. The difficult part is to fulfill that right. I too have a right to pursue a happy life. The difficult part is to work out a compromise for that right. Frederica Bernkastel. That's because I'm going to become much, much more happier from now on. I'm not going to compromise with just this. I'm going to take back all of our happiness that we lost. For me, it's 100 years worth. For you,
1,000 years worth. Eureka Burn Castle. A report on the coup d'etat of Erie Institute proposal. Regarding the coup d'etat of Erie Institute. Background. One of the responsibilities of the Erie Institute hereby the Institute was administered of emergency mail number 34. Personnel. However, conspired to execute the mail under false circumstances and accepted bribes to do so. These individuals include the Institute sub-director and the capital and first response. Authorities of the Institute were detained immediately. An emergency response unit was sent to protect the Institute and detain all inside. The workers of all the Institute all surrendered and were promptly secured by headquarters. Regarding the commission officers and commanders of the Erie Institute, Colonel Erie. The inquiry committee has confirmed that Lieutenant Colonel Erie has nothing to do with this incident. However, due to his responsibility as supervisor of the Institute, he was handed over to the disciplinary committee, which removed him from his official capacity as director. However, he was instructed to remain in leadership position in order to take care of what business remained. Takano, sub-director. It is an inquiry of the committee's conclusion that the major was the ringleader of this incident. They are First Lieutenant Okinomi. It is the inquiry of the committee's conclusion that First Lieutenant was an accomplice in this incident. Furthermore, the investigation department claims that he did accept bribes from Major Takano for this purpose. This said, there remains many suspicious elements in his background, and the department is continuing their investigation. The disciplinary committee, meanwhile, has decided to bargain with the First Lieutenant, as he has been freely willing to hand over information and contributed greatly to the investigation of this case. Regarding the Erie Institute, as per their original plan, the research Hinamizawa syndrome will continue within 3 years. A new director has been set for additional information. Some of the members of the inquiry committee have raised concerns about the management of the investigation. It is the writer's personal opinion that we should consider the importance of this incident and select more suitable candidates for the committee so as to verify that the if this is acceptable. If I may attend the approval, I will report for your reference tomorrow morning. No more. Sorry. This is what happens when I cry. I'll read the poems and I'll tell you my thoughts later. Alright? Okay. Okay, there were tips. Alright, give me a moment. Okay. Now, before we continue with the extras and stuff, I wanted to talk about my thoughts. Now, I think that Higurashi Go Sotsu, if you've seen the anime, is a separate timeline from this one. Because, look, Hanyu is treated as if she is going to stay in this fragment. Okay? Like, sometimes I've seen the extra arcs where Hanyu is kind of treated like a way. But Hanyu, like, she says that she's trying to live in the human world. So I would assume that she would try to exist in it and not just, like, go to sleep for the rest of her existence or whatever. So I found if you treat, like, Higurashi Go Sotsu like that, it's really confusing. So I would say just treat it as something separate. And for the people who... And honestly, I prefer the ending where Hanyu doesn't die. Okay? Because there's one where she has to die. And I don't agree with that. I like the first 8 novels just the way they are. But because I have Psycho Koroshi, I will read that tomorrow. Unless I don't feel well. Hopefully I feel well. Now let's read the extras. First, let's view the tips. Okay. So maybe I misremembered something. So the Forbidden Treasure, Onigari no Ryo. And that is for Higurashi go Sotsu. If you ever want to go through that. But, I mean, I heard the manga is better, I guess. But if you ask me, I prefer to treat the 8 original VNs as their own thing. And there is, like, I think they're different. There's some differences. I don't think that they're completely meant to be the same thing. And they're kind of supposed to be their own thing. Like an alternate universe kind of thing. Because, I don't know, I think it makes sense like that. That's why when I was going through Go and Sotsu and I saw, like, Rika, like, wanting something different that I didn't expect, I was just confused. So, anyway. Let's begin reading the tip. So, I'm just gonna say, when Higurashi go Sotsu is interpreted, I think they should be separate and not completely within the same timeline of Higurashi, of the original 8 visual novels, because they're different. I heard that the age also was changed, so for some of the characters to be younger. I don't know, but like I prefer the 8 original VNs. Okay, that's it. But I will read Psycho Koroshi. So let us begin. The Forbidden Treasure, Onigari no Ryo. It's the most famous, valuable asset of the Furude Shrine that is kept in the ritual storehouse. In ancient times, when this place was a chaotic world of both humans and demons, this precious sword defeated the demon god. However, nobody has seen it for 1,000 years. According to the legend, it is sealed in the statue dedicated to Oyashiro in the ritual storehouse. Because of its structure, as long as the belief in Oyashiro continues, it will remain a forbidden tool forever sealed away. Also, it is only mentioned in the forbidden scrolls of the Furude Shrine. Therefore, only a handful of the Furude family heads have ever known about its existence. According to these several forbidden scrolls, the sword is shaped like a willow branch. There are some ink paintings of the sword made by the few Furude heads, but none of them match that description. That means they drew those pictures from their imagination. The legend says there is a girl named Oka who received the divine message that commanded her to defeat the demon god. Oh, yeah, see? It's even in there. And that is Hanyu's daughter. However, neither the sword of humans or demons could conquer the demon god. It would require a blade that was neither human sword nor a demon sword. Only a sword that mixes humans and demon qualities could defeat the demon god. It has been said repeatedly the ancestors of Hinamizawa are half demon and half human. Furude Oka is to be the first person whose blood was mixed in that way. This description is what conveys that. Heaven gave Oka a precious sword. The precious sword was shaped like a willow branch. Its tip split 3 ways, which symbolize heaven, earth, and people in unity. It also symbolized harmony between heaven, demons, and humans. Oka headed to the swamp where the demon god hid and defeated him with his treasured sword. Each forbidden scroll describes how she defeated the demon god differently. Some say she disciplined him. Some say he ran away. Some say he surrendered. What happened to the demon god afterwards is unclear too. The oldest scroll says the precious sword destroyed the demon god's horn, but the others don't mention that. If you look at Hanyu's sprite, part of her horn is damaged. The precious sword that defeated the demon god was then enshrined and was named Onigari no Ryo. Oka sealed this precious sword from the deepest place in the shrine to hide its existence forever. Even if it was created to slay the demon god, the sword didn't belong in this world anymore and shouldn't exist on the face of the earth. Some say that is why it was removed from the human world. But some said Oka was the daughter of the demon god, and that she wanted to banish the sword that killed her mother. The ancient cult of Oyashiro suggested Oyashiro was this demon god, the source of chaos, the source of all that evil, and the source of all friction. To prevent the demon god from returning to the human world through worship and comfort is the root of the ancient cult. It's maybe a type of cult devoted to an evil god. This idea that it is not worship for protection, but to stave off curses linked slightly to the modern worship of Oyashiro, but it seems slightly distant from the modern worship that asks for Oyashiro's blessings and sees him as a god of marriage and good relationships. It fosters the argument that humans are good by nature and says all discord is the work of Oyashiro. There are no demons in the world of man. After all, the legend continues on to what we know today as the harmony of humans and demons. But in this era, all the scrolls of the origin of the belief in Oyashiro and the scrolls of the matriarch of the Furude family have been sealed due to being forbidden. That probably happened because the new image of Oyashiro, that of a loving and affectionate god, and the ancient image of Oyashiro, the source of all evil, didn't match. It became too difficult to explain the faith's doctrine. Also, if one believes the forbidden scrolls, the Furude family was descended from one who killed her own mother, that would mean their blood was cursed. If all of that is true, then today's faith is very different from the one that was started by the matriarch. One of the leaders of the Furude family from 100 years ago wrote this. The Onigari no Ryo, the legendary precious sword, is a symbol of both the Furude family and the sins of the human world. It was an era where people pushed the source of their evil onto others and could only purify their sins by killing one another. The matriarch, one, took the root of all evil herself and let her child murder her. That was how this place was freed from chaos. The matriarch usually means Furudeoka, but sometimes it means her mother. The notion that matriarch was this demon god was a taboo among the Furude family, in other words, Hanyu. However, obviously some leaders interpreted it that way. When the Furude family, or when the world of man commits the foolish act of seeking to blame others and tries to return to the world of demons, that is when faith will disappear and the statue's head will shatter. That is when the Onigari no Ryo will reappear to us. This second coming will once again revive the memory of the Furude family's forgotten sins. Is the demon god a fictional legend, or someone who actually existed? In some rare cases, babies were born with horns. They were called children of the demon god. Descendants of the Furude family who will read this. The myths passed down by forbidden scrolls are numerous. Their content vastly differs, but don't get caught up in the smoke. No matter how different all these scrolls are, there is one thing they all want to convey. Search the heart of Furudeoka, the one who sealed the Onigari no Ryo forever. That is the fate of all the Furude family leaders must understand. I believe that she also definitely told her mother, welcome back. That was definitely her. Oh, and I forgot to read the credit scene too. Sorry, let me get to that. Let's not forget that too. MatsuriBayashi. Let me do something. I have to get that text. What? They didn't bother putting in the credits? Ugh, I have to. Hello, this is Ryukishi07. Thank you for playing MatsuriBayashi. No, thank you very much for playing Higurashi When They Cry until the end. MatsuriBayashi is, in a way, the solution episode for the situation with Takano and the kids starting from the halfway through Minagoroshi. How can they defeat Takano's conspiracy? How can they reach their ideal ending? I wrote this episode as a duel between you, the reader, and me, the writer. So if you think you create a better resolution world than my MatsuriBayashi, that means you defeated Ryukishi07 in this duel. I, Ryukishi07, have provided 2 resolutions. One is how to fight against Takano. First, here is a hint from the Minagoroshi chapter. You find about Takano's conspiracy, which relies on Emergency Manual 34. Next, here are the hints from Watanagashi and Mikashi chapters. It has been 48 hours after Rika's death, yet the village is peaceful. If you put these 2 things together, obviously the basis of the Emergency Manual, which Takano Hifumi wrote, that everyone will develop terminal symptoms, which in 48 hours isn't true. When you put these 2 together, you can realize that if Rika's body was discovered 48 hours after her death, it's possible to prevent the final operation. In MatsuriBayashi chapter, I wrote about attacking side and defending side like a novel. If I were to simply write about the resolution, all I had to do was for Oishi to announce that Rika died at least 48 hours ago, and Takano's conspiracy would fall apart once the news reached Tokyo. It was a rather easy resolution, like a puzzle. I'm sure many of you got this right. The other resolution was an ideal ending for this world. To answer this, I have to explain the worldview of this story first. There are hints all over, but the crucial ones are in Tatari Goroshi and Mina Goroshi chapters. Sadako's uncle comes home, and Sadako's life becomes miserable. How can she be rescued from that situation? If this story was an exercise in murder, then Tatari Goroshi chapter is the correct answer. Keiichi kills Teppei and hides the body well, and there is a happy ending. But I didn't end the episode that way. Instead, I denied it with a bad ending. The resolution and the worldview of Higurashi When They Cry advocates is a non-violent one, where everyone is united together. That is established in question chapters such as Oni Kakushi, Watanagashi, and Tatari Goroshi. In those worlds, when someone becomes suspicious about everything and worries about it alone, things get worse, and that leads to tragedy. The Meikashi chapter is a sublimation of that situation. On the other hand, when one talks to their friends, it's revealed the causes of the tragedy are quite silly. It's indicated in Sumi Horoboshi and Mina Goroshi episodes. In other words, you can see that in the world of Higurashi, anything can be overcome when people talk to each other and help one another. Unfortunately, that doesn't happen in reality. Helping each other creates friction, and oftentimes working alone is a lot simpler. However, we always hope that we can connect with other people and understand each other so we can face any difficulty. In that sense, this world is a fantasy. That's right. In the world of Higurashi, there is one magical rule, and that is to talk to each other and accept help from them, that you can defeat anything. With that, it is possible to make a miracle happen. If that could be cast into an absolute rule, it would be a sort of magical systematic miracle. Just like what Hanyu and her friends said in the story. That is the worldview of Higurashi When They Cry. If you follow that rule and think about an ideal ending, I bet the first thing you'll think about is an ending where all the club members unite and defeat Takano. Actually, there are scenes in MatsuriBayashi chapter that affirm that sort of ending. However, at the same time, Takano is described as a very lonely person. By doing so, I raise a question about the resolution. Everyone else unites, defeats Takano, and makes her into a sacrifice. This is a happy ending for everyone except Takano. It's a very popular style of story for protagonists to unite together and sacrifice the antagonists. Aliens come to the Earth and invade us, so the world unites and defeats the aliens. Hooray for humans, and we must all get along. This is a very popular storyline all over the world. There are plenty of stories that use aliens, devils, or monsters as clear bad guys and make them into sacrifices. Two parties fighting with each other become allies once, and the third party shows up. Storylines like these are indeed exciting. By adding a sacrifice, differing parties unite and become allies. To create this situation, there has to always be a third party that sacrifices well. I'm sure many of those who create such stories must have already noticed that. We always add a third enemy that can't possibly unite with us. To make up with each other, we try to find a common enemy. Am I the only one who feels that describes our world today? In reality, this world belongs only to humans. There are no aliens, devils, or monsters. So for us to find an enemy, we'll have to fight each other forever. To make up with each other, we need a new enemy, so we just keep fighting someone else. In this chapter of Higurashi, I declared that to be the demon of the world of man. With these explanations of the worldview here in mind, do you wonder if the resolution of defeating Takano is in fact an ideal resolution for the MatsuriBayashi chapter? That's right. It's basically the same foolishness found in Tatari Goroshi. According to that logic, the Mina Goroshi chapter isn't the best resolution for the problems that surround Sadako either. Do you understand that? How can they make up for Takano? You wouldn't suggest to make Tokyo into the new enemy and let the club members join with Takano, would you? If I continue to talk about this issue, I'll probably end up mentioning something religious, so let me stop here. What kind of ending would be the best outcome following the worldview of Higurashi When They Cry? Perhaps it's something better than the MatsuriBayashi chapter. You can consider this a graduating question, Satsugo, for Higurashi When They Cry. Maybe I will leave it as my final gift to those who enjoy this tale for 4.5 years. Thank you for reading this extremely complicated story. In the end, what was this all for? If I were to put an answer to that question in one word, it would be entertainment. It's not important if you were able to answer the riddles. After all, if you enjoyed it yourself, you won. Ryukishi07 will continue to challenge you. Higurashi when they cry ends here, but I hope I get to see you again in a different world. What kind of work do I want to create next? Maybe it's fitting to choose my next work from an infinite number of possibilities while listening to the chorus of the Higurashi. I want to express my gratitude to all the people who have supported me until today. Thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you all again soon. Ryukishi07. Ah, yes, he is certainly right. I remember when I was a kid, I would always complain about my problems that were too much for me, and I would try to look for anybody that would listen to me, and it wouldn't always work. I mean, I was a kid. I was a teenager. I didn't have any resources, so I wouldn't know. I think when I heard the song You from Higurashi, though, I think that helped. Like, I mean, in reality, I had to help myself. I didn't resort to, of course, things that would happen in other stories. I had to think it through by myself. I had a lot of time to think by myself because I was alone a lot. But I also made a lot of mistakes, and it really screwed me up and all that other stuff. So, it's not like it's easy. No. Of course not. I think there was supposed to be some extra stuff, but I guess I can't find it. So, we don't have to... I might stop it for tonight, but yeah. So I guess what I want to say is, like... But, I mean... That is to say, I'm not going to disagree with Ryukishi, because I do agree with him, actually. It's just I was very unlucky. Because I was essentially I'm more isolated. If anything, like, and Higurashi is very idealistic. If you want like something more realistic in that term, I would read Umineko. And I would very much there is a character in Umineko I very much relate to. I very much had some things that I very much related to some of the characters in Umineko that I very highly relate to. But we have to read Psycho Koroshi before we get to Umineko, so yeah. Well, good night.